Hi, this is Ushio, and welcome back to Echo. In the last episode, everything was really bad. Like, super bad. You don't even understand. Unless you watched it, in which case you do. So yeah, all of our friends have abandoned us. They all suspect us of having murdered our friend when we were children, which, if you've seen other routes, you might have a different angle on that. But in this version, it's not explicit. And also there's an implication that there might have been like a spirit or a ghost affecting that situation as well. So then everything went bad. Someone showed up outside and started shooting, and then we ran away and we locked ourselves. We got stuck in a room basically, and we kind of got trapped. And it looks like we're somewhere else now. I've got no idea what's going on, and we're going to try and find out. We've had this box appear. Find him. Dead. I sling the bow over my shoulder and set my quiver down on the little yellow plastic table next to me. It's got a little cubby holder in the centre meant for storing crayons and shit, but I haven't used it in a long time. I approach the target and tear off the photograph I printed out at the school's library. I remember the librarian giving me quite the look about it. Not that I was going to explain to her what it was for. Right between its turban though. Not bad for 150 feet. I smile, holding it up and seeing the sunlight shine through the hole. It's at this moment I start feeling a bit silly. Who the fuck am I kidding? No one's going to kill this guy with a bow. They'll blast him into 100 pieces with a weaponised UAV. Also, that's a bit too much Call of Duty, must be said. Still, Uncle will dig this. He can hang it up in the garage next to the 100 and 125 feet ones. He's been trying to get me to practice more with the 22, but I like the bow better. It's quiet, so I don't got to worry about the country sheriff getting called again. And, not that I'd ever admit it, but I fucking hate the noise. I think I got sensitive ears or something. Carl was telling me to just use a silencer, like that's how it fucking works. Dude's gonna grow up on dumb movies and video games and have no clue about how the real world works. This place, at least, is pretty far away from any houses beside my own. I think I've only ever seen one other non-friend family person out here, and that was Heather's mum, stoned off her ass. None of the group are really into this stuff, but it's pretty alright when I'm wanting to be alone. I fold up the picture, stuffing it into the side pocket of my cargo pants. I walk back to the firing line, taking hold of my quiver once again. I draw my bow, readying another arrow. I'm about to fire, though this nearby rumbling sound starts coming from the road about a mile north. It sounds like someone's going off-roading. I squint past the glare of the afternoon sun and spot the pale blue of a truck heading in my direction. Through the windshield, I spot a familiar, small, tufted face. The hell? I drop my gear, watching the vehicle accelerate and decelerate haphazardly. Shitbird, what are you doing? The truck pulls up and comes to an abrupt halt. I step up to the driver's side window, about to chastise the furry bastard, but the look on his face stops me. I don't see any sort of jest or self-satisfied mischief as the kid steps out. Just shaken, wide-eyed blankness. Whoa, the hell's going on, dude? Flynn, can you come with me? He's acting weird as hell. Why? Please? I sigh. Yeah, scoot over. No way I'm letting someone even younger drive me around. Just a sec. Gotta grab my gear so no one steals it. Sidney just nods. I turn, walking back to grab my cooler, bow and quiver. I'm guessing his folks are being fucky again. Still, he's gonna get his hide turned for jacking their truck. I throw my equipment in the truck bed before opening the driver's side door. Sid is already sitting on the passenger side. I notice his eyes, the way they look all bleary and pink around the edges. He's been crying, goddamn. You want to tell me what's up? Sidney says nothing. You ain't been killing hookers again, have ya? I know the bitches step out of line sometime and you gotta keep your pimp hand strong, but there are limits, little guy. I smirk at him. He just looks down in between his knees, cupping his face in his paws. There's a Grand Theft Auto reference right there. I'm not helping, am I? I clear my throat. Well, shit. At least tell me where we're going. Sidney rubs his face with his webbed paws. Finally, he lifts his head and speaks. We step around the damp sticks and bramble before eventually reaching the clearing. Sidney seems to get more nervous every step we take, muttering something about being tough every now and then. I decided a while ago I wasn't going to pry, but I feel myself getting increasingly nervous. The hell are we doing all the way out here? Eventually he comes to a stop, and then points past some bushes. I can see what looks like rusted metal past the green. I raise a brow at him before stepping through. I see him, and my gut sinks. Part of me wondered what could have possibly made Sydney act like this, and the thought crossed my mind, but I didn't want to believe it. He's laying down in an awkward pose, legs bent up and tucked beneath the front bumper of the abandoned van. At first I think his mouth is open, but then I realise half his jaw's missing, a clear hole visible all the way through his neck. I can see where the spine connects to the brain and everything. The blood's so dark, it's like motor oil. The words catch in my throat. I'm going to be sick. I hear crying from beside me, and I know he's there. I know he's seeing this too. Okay. Wow. Wow? Really? What did you... I didn't kill him. Sydney stares up at me, a surge of emotion upon his previously blank face. I didn't. I swear. I spot the rifle next to the corpse. It's a .22 long barrel, a really awkward weapon to try to kill yourself due to the length. I turn, the sight of it all making me feel like I'm about to lose my breakfast. Are you sure? I wouldn't blame you if you did. I didn't. His shrill yell catches me off guard and I nearly lose my nerve. Okay. He took you out here and shot himself? We were arguing, and he saw the van and started acting weird. His voice is much higher pitched than it usually is. Sydney always puts on this fake, gravelly sort of cadence to sound tough. He doesn't have any of that now, and sounds just like any other scared little kid. He left me, and came back an hour later with his gun. He said he wanted me to watch him do it. He looks like he's about to hyperventilate. He covers his face with his forearms, whimpering aloud. My head hurts. I take him by the shoulders and turn him away from the scene. Let's take you back to the truck, yeah? I believe you. Sydney's dad was a weird motherfucker. Real grinny, like TJ's folks, but even more completely fucking fake. We all used to go to the same church down Prior Valley, so he treated me like I was one of them. As of late, though, he'd been acting really strangely toward me. I always wondered if my parents told him something. Fucking doesn't matter now, does it? Let's sit you back down in the truck, okay? It's warm in there. Sydney just nods. We reach the truck, and I start noticing little things about it that make my heart sink. The pack of Sydney's dad's chewing gum on the dashboard, his Fish Bait Pro Game bumper sticker, the Alpine wind air freshener that dangles from the rearview mirror. All of this shit for a person who's just gone. I put the keys in the ignition and turn on the heater and radio. All that the antenna picks up is some twangy country stuff. I step around to the truck bed and unzip the plastic cooler I've got. I eat all the jerky from earlier. All that's left is a couple lemon lime sodas. I take one out and hand it to Sydney. Here, drink this. His parents never let him have soda. I sort of expected him just to hold it and keep staring ahead blankly, but he actually pops the top and starts glugging it down. There's more in the back if you get thirsty. They're gonna think I did it, aren't they? Who will? Everyone. They think I'm a monster. I open my mouth to dismiss that, but the more I think about it, the more suspicious it all looks. Not that I doubt Sidney for a fucking second. He wouldn't lie to me about something serious like this. But the cops? Dude, Sidney... The angle of the gunshot? He looks up at me, his big eyes welling up. It looks bad, like he couldn't have. I didn't want him to do it. I tried. I talked to him for hours. I kept trying to put it away. He wouldn't listen to me. He just kept talking. I resist the urge to muffle him as he begins to scream, looking around nervously. I don't think many people come to this part of the state land. Instead, I place a hand on his back, rubbing gingerly. It's okay. I thought if I yanked hard enough... Snot dribbles from his nose, which he wipes quickly on his jacket. He just shakes his head. It fired. Fuck. I feel my gut twisting at the prospect of what I'm about to do. It's like my insides have gone cold, as if the thermal padding in my clothing was gone. I'll take care of it. What do you mean? Oh, bury him. If anyone asks, you can just say you were hunting down the pass a couple of miles from here and he stormed off. Is anyone going to believe that? More so than what really happened. My tone comes out more curt than I intended, and Sydney begins to bawl again. I kind of want to cry too. I squeeze Sydney's shoulder before letting go. As I turn and head back to the van, it's like this physical sense of dread is hugging me the closer I get. What fucking else can I do? Turn Sydney to the cops? They won't understand. Even his mum wouldn't. She'd probably blame me as the bad influence that caused this to happen. As I near the abandoned van, I try not to look at the body. I just gotta find a good spot and start digging. There's 2 pinyon trees at the bottom of a nearby hill that are surrounded by thick undergrowth. That'll have to do. I just wish I had a shovel. Regardless, I began to dig, and dig, and dig, and dig. I poured mounds upon mounds of soil with my bare hands. Worms, spiders, the other sorts of creepy crawlers that'd probably make Chase freak out are everywhere. My hands start to feel raw, and I notice smears of blood on some of the soil I'm holding after a while. I can't stop now. This is already too suspicious. Hours pass. My aunt and uncle are probably wondering where I am. I don't know what I'm going to tell them. The truth? No. I'll just sneak in, act like I'm taking a shower and change my clothes and wash them when I get the chance. I think I finally get it deep enough, though my arms are numb as hell. I glance up the hill and see the very edge of Sydney's dad's foot. I just need to get it over with. A quick tug and haul and we'll be home free. I don't move. I just keep staring at it. Like, it'll start twitching or something and I'll hear his voice ask me what I'm doing. It's just so still, like a rock. Empty. It reminds me of the upside-down cockroaches that I find in the garage all the time. Just empty husks that once contained life and are now just a shell. I'm overcome with the notion that I really, really don't want to die. Eventually, without even realising it, I manage to get my legs working again. I grasp the foot. As I put it down the slope, it doesn't bend like I thought it would. Each movement of the joint kind of crackles with this horrid sound. I try to think of anything else to keep myself from throwing up. Gourmet salads, fish and chips, barbecues, my friends. The husk falls into the makeshift grave. For the first time, I see his eyes. He's looking at me, right at me. I always thought that looking at a dead person's eyes would be like seeing something who's looking through you. But no, it's like he's focused on me. Fuck. Are you... I look down at Sydney's dad expectantly. No response. One of his arms is sticking up, frozen in rigour. It's too tall, and could stick out if the topsoil blew away. I take a deep breath and step down on it. It crunches like a bunch of dried twigs. I jolt back. Fuck. I scurry back up the hill, grabbing the rifle, the shell casings, and the dead duck for good measure. I toss it all into the pit before feverishly covering it all with dirt. It's at this point I notice Sydney standing nearby, clutching onto a tree like he's afraid he'll blow away. His brown cheek fur is matted with tears, and he wrings his heavy tail like a wet cloth. I make sure to cover the face as fast as possible, though I still think Sydney saw it. I wonder if he thought the eyes were looking at him too. I scoop the last 4 mounds of dirt on top, wiping the blood off my jacket. I'm panting. Sydney looks from the grave to me. He opens his mouth, pauses, and quietly mutters, "Thanks, Flynn." I don't know what to say. Yeah. I nod, for some reason. I manage to look him straight in the eyes, this time. Where do we go from here? Something happens. It's something on his face. It's like he's not himself. We'll be okay. We're tough. None of this matters. The van jostles and teeters as it careens down the dirt road before the turn off to Wilmer Bend. All this bumping and speeding is making my head hurt something fierce all of a sudden. Leo, slow down. The red wolf keeps looking over his shoulder as he drives, as if afraid he'll see Clint sprinting behind us. Turn up here. Your place? Yeah, it's the closest. I can't believe we left Chase behind. I told you, he bolted out the back door first chance he got. I didn't know City Hall had a back door. There's silence for a moment. I say nothing. I've never seen him get like that before. Who, Clint or Chase? Shut up, Flynn. Fuck you. I feel a pinch on the back of my neck, Jenna having grasped me hard. Enough, I'm serious. I reel forward, managing to wriggle free. Okay. Leo just snarls like the feral tit-dirt he is. Despite always raging earlier, Leo actually looks a bit conflicted. Leo pulls up onto the driveway, and as the van stops, he's already out, storming his way to the door. I gotta piss. It's locked. Leo turns the front door handle and, to my surprise, opens it up and steps right in. Or not. I step outside, stretching my limbs. There's not much room in Leo's mummy missile for someone like me. My mind's still buzzing, trying to comprehend everything that just happened. Chase, that fucker. To think I've been fantasizing about him non-stop for the past goddamn week, like a horny 14-year-old. He sabotaged the whole thing, making me look like some kind of calculating sadistic rapist. And nobody else even noticed when his face changed? every time. TJ and Jenna pass along beside me, both looking a mix of wary and exhausted. I wonder how much of his bullshit they believed. They're so gullible to bullshit coming from a whimpering face after all. Cole follows suit, clutching his phone in his paws, but not looking at it. Maybe not all of them, though. I shut the car door and head in. I enter, and the dry heat feels so good on my scales. I let out a big sigh, taking a moment to just not think for a while and ignore the stares in my direction. Flynn? The moment lasts less than 5 seconds before Jenna interrupts. Yes? Do you have a landline? We're trying to dial the sheriff, but none of us can get any reception on our phones. It shows bars every now and then, but then drops shortly after they appear. Do I look like I'm 40? Nobody has landlines these days. You kind of do. I mean, from the back. I resist the urge to ask how, instead letting out a quick huff of air. Let me check mine. I reach into my pocket. After taking out my phone, I notice the signal bars in the top right are fluctuating wildly, almost blinking. I try to call 911, but nothing goes through. Shit. Not working for you either? I toss my phone on the kitchen island. I'll just get my repeater. Your what? Flynn, seriously? Are you planning on turning this into some kind of Wild West shootout? This is not the time for one of your urban-ass anti-gun lectures. This is my house. Jenna starts up a rebuttal, but I'm already gone. I head down the hallway to the storage closet, opening it and reaching up to the top shelf. I don't have any small kids to worry about, so I always leave this one loaded, just in case. I hear some shuffling behind me. Looking over my shoulder, there's some movement going on in Daxton's room. Ordinarily, I'll give him his private space a wide-ass berth so that he'll do the same, but under the circumstances... Yo. The salamander blinks up at me from his bed. He's draped in a striped blanket, sitting upright and looking a little frazzled. Flynn, He looks sidelong and then back at me, then the rifle. The interview went that badly. Fucking terribly. Also, there's a meth head with a gun roaming around town, so I got this just in case. The others are here too. They're eating all your shit, probably. Okay. As long as they don't touch my astronaut dried ice cream, it's okay. Too late. By now, Cole's eaten them all, plus the box they came in. You know how goats are. Speciesist. Wait, seriously, the interview didn't go smooth like. I wasn't fucking kidding when I said that. Daxton frowns. I'll talk to my cousin. Maybe make up some excuse or something. You look like shit. What? He blinks and then rubs his hands over his smooth face. Oh, yeah. Took a nap and had a real strange sort of vision dream. I've been having a lot of these lately. I noticed the pen and paper in his lap now, plus a notebook filled with rapid scribblings. I needed to write everything down, otherwise I'd forget. You know how they are, where after 15 minutes it's all gone but a vague sense of familiarity of the setting and time of day. I don't dream. The salamander blinks. What? I look down the hall. I was joking earlier, but it looks like Cole is straight up digging through our pantry already. Daxton sighs when he realises I'm not going to explain. Well, can I tell you about it? Look, it would just take a minute. Dax, I'm distracted as dick right now. Yeah, you're distracted by a dick. Ass? Are you fucking deaf? No, you're just confusing. Look, I was flying on this airship thing. In your dream. Yeah, but it felt real. I don't feel like I slept at all. It's like I was there. So, not a dream? Not a dream. A vision, spirit quest, out-of-body experience, whatever the hell you want to be calling it. I lean my rifle against the doorway, crossing my arms over my chest. I could smell the metal of the cockpit, and I could feel the leather of the chair. I was flying over this giant body of water. I don't think it was an ocean, though. He stares at the tips of his webbed feet poking out from beneath the blanket, as if they'd remind him of something. It made me nervous because I wasn't good at swimming. But I'm great at swimming. I'm a goddamn salamander, yeah? Something went wrong with the pulse drive and I started losing altitude. Eventually I hit the water and had to evacuate. Everything just sunk instantly. I didn't have time to grab any gear. It was just me, in the middle of the water, no land in sight, and little chance of rescue. The salamander begins to wring his own wrists, his tone of voice serious despite the absurdity of all this shit. All I knew how to do was doggy paddle. I remember being really scared and missing home. I tried slipping off all of my clothing to make myself more buoyant, but it didn't work. I kept looking under the water for some reason, like to see how deep it was. I couldn't see the bottom, it was so dark. The top of the water was warm, but even like 5 feet down it was freezing. I kept trying to pull my legs up, because I didn't like them being down in the cold dark space. It was like I was afraid something was down there. Even though it hurt my eyes, I wouldn't stop pushing my head under to look, to be sure it was safe. He peers up at me now, a strange sort of expression on his face that I can't really name. Just as it was getting dark, I glanced down into the depths and saw orange and black. It was you. I crossed my arms just a little tighter, my frown deepening. You were so far down, I could just barely make out your general shape and your eyes. They were hollow, empty, nothing. Even though I forgot most of the other details, that face stuck with me. I unconsciously rubbed at my own eyes, still there as far as I can see. I was terrified, but there was nowhere I could swim. I was afraid if I started kicking, it would get your thing's attention. Despite everything, after a few minutes, I looked again. At first it was just empty, and then this huge head just emerged from the depths. No eyes, and a gaping mouth where a muzzle should be. The whole water got cold, and I woke up. Daxton kneads at his blanket, looking a mix of deeply uncomfortable and relieved to get it off his chest. Still, I stared blankly at him. I don't have a fucking clue how to react to this. Sounds like something for a head shrink to unpack, because fuck knows I'm not going to try. Daxton leans his head back against the wall. Thanks, anyway. Yep. I look down the hall again and see Cole chewing on what looks like a dehydrated Neapolitan bar. Cole's eating your shitty ice cream that you like for real, by the way. What? Oh, goddammit. Cole. The ram stops, his mouth full of the crumbly stuff. What? Daxton peels off his blanket, marching up the kitchen in a huff. I sigh, shaking my head some as I pick up the rifle and plop myself by a window in the dining room. TJ looks most surprised at the weapon in my grasp, the lynx actually stepping back. Jenna puts her phone down and Cole stops his apologising to Daxton. At that moment, Leo steps out the bathroom. He doesn't move, he just looks at the rifle, then me. Oh, what the hell? These idiots act like they'd never seen a gun before. For fuck's sake. I bring the rifle up to my chest. You all don't gotta worry, I just have this to shoot you all for treating me like shit all these years. I smirk, snickering some. And no one else laughs. Even as I peer to Cole, he just looks down at his hooves. It was a fucking joke. I'm joking. You guys are stupid. Way to go, Flynn. I turn, shifting focus to the outside. It's nearly nightfall now. Everything looks normal. There's some smoke way off in the distance, but it's too far to really be much of a concern. I can't get a hold of Chase. No shit. The signal in the area is erratic. We couldn't get a call out to 911 either. Is that why Gila Gunslinger over there's by the window? I sneer. Yes, he insisted on us being protected. That's smart. I left my piece at home. Oh god, not you two. Let's just make some dinner instead. We're not going to talk about what happened? I'm sorry. Right now, I just want to eat. There's a lot here to unpack, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, but we can do better than what happened earlier. I find myself actually surprised. I would never have figured I'd hear those words from Jenna, especially with TJ around. You know, I'd kill for some carne asada right now, yeah? Hopefully not literally, Flynn's already got that planned. Yeah, I heard. He gives me a bit of a cold look. The hell's his problem? I'm the goddamn victim here. Not that I'd ever put it like that. I haven't exactly grocery shopped to host a party of, Daxton started to count all of us. 6. The salamander opens the fridge, staring into it as if looking into a particularly deep canyon. We got leftover salad, some fruit, cream cheese. There's frozen bass in the fridge. I glance over and a few of them grimace. Of course. We got a blender. You could make some smoothies with the kefir yogurt, milk and fruit. Maybe a side salad with it? I mean, I'm assuming you'll have just been coughing down the local diner junk all week, so it might be nice. Cole, TJ and Jenna exchange looks with each other. Leo, meanwhile, looks to be tapping at his phone, occasionally looking out the window. That'll work, thank you Daxton, and apologies for all this. I didn't say it was fine, some of that's my shit. Daxton gives me a dull look. Without further word, he takes out the big bowl of leftover salad and sets it on the counter, along with a grocery bag of fruit. I feel my teeth start to grit, so I shift my focus outside again. Still no signs of life beyond the usual distant spots of light, each coming and going down the highway around the canyon. The smoke I noticed earlier rising up near the res looks like it's billowed higher, though. Despite everything, it's actually sorta nice out. The temperature's okay, with some light cloud cover that only partially veils the purple-orange hues of the dusky sky. It's the sort of night I'd usually like to spend outside on the porch, drinking tea and whittling on some balsa. Daxton's usually quiet, cooped up in his room with his fantasy shit. I don't know how I feel about the music he usually has playing, but it's not bad. To think, 30 miles away, Peyton's bustling, with 100,000 people all enjoying their Saturday nights. Hell, back in the day, it used to be a tiny ranching community that serviced Echo, kept everyone fed and such. 30 miles in the other direction, you've got the res. Population keeps dwindling from that place too, no matter how much money the feds give them to live there. All the young folk just pack up and get out while they can. The rest generally don't do too hot. Finally, 65 miles to the east, you've got the Jericho Proving Grounds. I remember back when I was a tweeny little jarhead, fussing to my uncle to take me there. They only did tours twice a year, and there's a huge wait list. I'd expected there to be a giant hole in the ground, the size of Echo Canyon, but there was pretty much nothing. Dust and sediment had filled it all in over the span of 75 years. Dry grass and shrubs had even sprouted on top. All that was left was just a torn-up hunk of a 3-ton cylinder that burned so hot the metal liquefied and pooled beneath it. You could walk through the site and have no idea that's where the fucking A-bomb was dropped. Well, if it weren't for the big black obelisk they erected up top. Which now is just another spot for visitors to take photos of themselves. Man mustn't forget the past, for the past will not forget man, it reads. It reminds me of that whole push for the county to make the mine some fucking tourist spot. Just slap a plaque up there with a little blurb about all the death and shit. It'll make a great selfie spot. Traffic is traffic, right? Hell, call it haunted and you'll get even more weirdos come here to exploit it. Like Chase. Ugh. As I hear the background noise of muffled conversation and Daxton trying to figure out how my blender works, the present sinks in. I wonder if he's gonna figure his way out before I can get to him. I look over and Daxton is putting a whole fucking apple into the blender. Some bitch, what are you doing? Daxton looks up, struggling to keep the lid on as the apple smacks hard against the sides of the plastic container. Cut the fucking thing up first, it's not gonna take a whole apple. The salamander still looks a bit dazed. I guess he's still reeling from his dream or whatever. Don't just me. Do it, you fucking slippery bitch, before you break my shit. Flynn. Jenna's glaring at me from the living room. It's my shit, my house. Jesus, man, I'm stopping. He pulls out the lacerated apple, setting it on a paper towel while grumbling. Gosh damn Asperger's and French fries, I swear. I clench my rifle harder at the hearing of the A word again. Turning, I make my way down the hall. There's a window in my bedroom. I'll watch from there. No one else says anything. At least while I'm still in earshot. I kick aside my hamper and pull open the curtains to peer outside. The view's not as good here, but I don't think I could stand being in there too much longer. I tense, feeling the brush of fur on my arm. Cole's standing next to me, some freeze-dried ice cream in his grasp. Jesus, when did he get so quiet? He doesn't say anything, which puts me in the awkward position of being the one to speak. Fat ass, I mumble. Cole holds up the ice cream, which has a weird wafer-like consistency. I told Daxton I'd give him a bunch of Hen's cartons when I got back to my house. Your folks won't mind. They won't notice. I could just say I ate it myself. Yeah, they wouldn't doubt that. There's a light smile on his muzzle now. Right. I blink. You're okay? Not really. All this stuff's got my mind off the interview, though. Just want to go home and play video games without getting shot. There's a silent pause. Chase. What he said wasn't true. Oh, I know. I let out a sharp exhale, closing my eyes for a second. I let the tip of my repeater rest against the floor. Thanks, though. For what? Defending me back at the office. The ram shakes his head dismissively. I don't think you'll see most of them besides Leo again after tomorrow, though. Like you said, none of this matters. The truth does. I guess your spring break hookup with Chase isn't going to be a long-term thing then, right? I wasn't really expecting that to be brought up. Who told him? Or was it that fucking obvious? He pulls out his phone, seeming to check to see whether my Wi-Fi is working yet. I grunt, clearing my throat. I just want to know what happened. Dude, if I was Chase, I'd just get in my car and drive back to Pueblo at this point. I don't think he's gonna do that. Why? I locked his ass in the reading room. Cole's eyes widen, the ram reacting much quicker than normal without his usual pot haze. So that's where you went. I think it's a crime, man. So's murder. Dude, this is Chase you're talking about. Yeah. I look offward, peering at the sorry state my room's in at the moment. I usually keep shit tidy, but now there's dirty laundry all over the place and everything kinda smells musky. Nowhere near as bad as Cole's, but still. I'm just gonna talk to him. No torture or anything, right? Fucking hell, Cole. Do you really think I'd do it? I'm not Leo. I'm joking. He rolls his shoulders. It feels kinda like when we were kids again with all this stuff. Yeah, it's a trail off, like my mouth is refusing to speak the words in my head. He sets his not ISC ice cream down on my nightstand, and I resist the urge to yell at him about the crumbs. Meanwhile, Dax starts up the blender again in the other room. Man, I think I hear Cole sigh. Do you want, like, a hug or something? I look down at him, raising a brow. Do you? He shrugs, seeming a mixture of numb and trepidatious. I just don't want you to leave, dude. Not like everybody else. It takes me a moment to register the shift in conversation. After everything that's happened, that's what's bothering him the most. The fact that I said I might leave town. Man, we talked about this shit earlier. I know, dude. Carl rubs at his jaw and face with the base of his paws, pacing upon the carpeted floor. It's suck ass, that's all. Not in a good way either. I fidget with my rifle, acting like I'm doing something with it while I think of what to say. You'll be okay. I don't know, you seem to be friendlying up with Dax. He even plays video games and does all that other nerd shit you like that I don't. You game sometimes. Yeah, only because you do. I guess that's the point though, isn't it? He scratches at his beanie, a bit of his head fur peeking out from the horn holes. I say nothing, just watching him go back and forth. I wish he wasn't so nervous. I wish he'd just say it. He's cool. And you're not all anxious around him. I still kinda am. You're talking about porn and shit with him within an hour of your first proper conversation. That's how you can tell you've made a good friend. I put on a smirk. If that were the case, you'd be the most popular guy in the county. Oh, fuck off, bleater. I smirk regardless. With a shift of my hips, I nudge him with my tail. Stop your treading. You're wearing out the carpet. Oh, sorry. He stops, looking down at his hooves for a moment, and then back up to me. If I stayed put, I'd probably start sticking to it. Fuck you. I smile, though I try to stifle it. I always thought us lizard folk looked fucking creepy when we smile. We don't really have that same cutesy appeal like most furry fuckers. Like Cole. This is gonna sound really gay, but promise you won't leave, dude. The seriousness of the request makes me pause. I look into his eyes, and I feel like a selfish arsehole. Cole's not fucking ready for this world. He's just gonna rot here. But I never really felt right fitting this whole big brother role again after what happened. Cole shifts his weight from hoof to hoof, noting my lack of response. I know I'm like a total burden, but you're not a fucking burden. What? You keep me from losing my mind in this shithole, you know that? You're the reason I haven't left already. Cole stops shifting, seeming to be trying to wrap his head around that admission. He opens his muzzle to speak, but I cut him off. And don't fucking go off again about how you're almost 21 and you should be better on your own. Turning into an adult doesn't magically fix all the shit that fucked you up as a kid. Dude, you're not... He thins his lips, the ram looking rather awkward. I'll stay. For now. For real? That's what I just fucking said, you absolute dumbass. The next thing I know, Cole's fist is against my soft spot. I flinch back, irking instinctively, but there's no pain, only that same usual tingly feeling. He's not punching me, he's poking me. The corner of Cole's lip curls upward in a sort of half smile. He nudges me again, this time in the shoulder. I raise an inquisitive brow, thumping him back. He steps forward, wrapping his arms around my torso. I'm left standing, a little baffled as to what's happening, with Cole's thick arms around my midsection. His fur is coarse. Not quite to the point that it's pricking me, but it has its weight to it. I look down at the top of his beanied noggin, and it really is just like when he was a kid again. A real damn milksop. There's no backpats with the hug, he lingers. I open my mouth to say something stupid, but I just bite my tongue. I don't draw back either. Closing my eyes, I empty my mind and just stop thinking for a moment. I lean forward, resting my chin between his horns. I get this sort of weird twisty feeling in my chest. Cole shifts again, as if trying to look up. And of course the edge of his hooves steps right onto one of my toes. Ow! I suppress a grimace just as the ram lifts his head up enough to meet me eye to eye. Oh, sorry. It's fine, I'm tough. Hey. Jenna's voice startles us both, and we put apart. I pivot on heel to see the fox staring at us with a look I can't quite place. Surprised, bemused, even a little wry. Food's ready. She looks at both of us. Carl acts like he's checking his phone. High score me would be squeeing right now. I swear, there's something in the tap water. Okay, I open my mouth to protest, and just let a quiet, I have to will my tail not to curl in on itself. Then again, I'm pretty sure you don't drink plain water. She seems to be looking up at Cole. I can practically see Cole's blush through the fur on his cheeks. Flynn, really got a minute? What? I clear my throat, putting on a more neutral expression. What do you want? I need to talk to you. Not about this. Her eyes flick back and forth between us. She's drinking in the side like Cole downs energy drinks. What the hell does she want to talk to me alone about? I glance down to Cole and then back. Yeah, I'm still going to keep watch after though. Is that what you were doing? She turns, departing as soon as she finishes speaking, not letting me get a word out. Fucking typical. I rub my hand over my face. It was just a hug. Cole's voice is quiet, but it still rings defensive. Fucker. I'm, glad you're staying though, dude. I grunt, reaching over and squeezing the pudge of the ram's side. He grins instinctively, trying to push my hand away. I give his pectoral one last pinch before giving him a nudge out the door to my room. I guess I'm supposed to feel embarrassed right now, but I don't really. I'm just glad to have this loser around. Dexter will be good for Cole if I do go, but I don't want to think about that now. As I turn to leave, I look at my bed, and I can't help but see him laying there. That vacant look in his eyes, my cum still spattered on his neck. The fucker was playing me the whole time, and for what? To get off? That's all it was. It's spring break, and he for some reason watched enough scaly porn to want me. Consequence free, right? The sound of clinking silverware in the kitchen pulls me back to the present. I straighten out my pants, waiting for my cock to fully retreat before heading back to the kitchen with my rifle. There they all are. Cole's already poking around inside the salad bowl on the counter, glancing up at me briefly. Daxton's the only one sitting, staring at the water in his glass. I sling my rifle over my shoulder. I grab one of the salamander's cups from the cupboard and get myself what looks like an apple banana smoothie. The cup itself is labelled for some sort of convention, though the exact name of it has been worn away from many washings. As I move to the salad, Cole nudges me. At first I think he's just being playful, but then I follow his eyes. Leo's pacing back and forth by the window, muttering something about Clint. He keeps checking his phone, the wolf pretty evidently restless as all hell. TJ's looking at him too, his expression difficult to place. He's never been exactly hard to read when he's upset like this. His nervous tics always give it away. Yet I can't tell what he looks more of, concerned or guilty. I'm usually good at reading folks, so this is kind of pissing me off. I take a seat next to Daxton. I'm a bit out of the loop here. His big blue eyes shift from person to person. Might be best if you fuck off again for a bit. Seriously, can you just explain something for once instead of being like a weird cryptic shithead? I can see lines form along Daxton's smooth forehead as he furrows his brows. His skin is so tightly stretched across his body, it makes his even slightest change of face readily visible. I don't have a clue how the furry tits get my kind confused with his. As I grunt and mutter for him to eat my shit, I can't help but wonder if I should bring him up to speed or not. I guess part of me wants as many people as possible to know what happened. I mean, fuck, that's what I've always wanted, right? These fuckers finally acting like something happened, and that our little group wasn't just little old Leo, Chase, TJ, Jenna, Carl and I. Eventually, everybody sits to eat. There's not enough room at the kitchen island for everybody, so TJ and Jenna sit on the counter by the fridge. TJ's still not saying much. Okay, I still can't access Wi-Fi or make calls. Daxton, is it? Yeah. Were we not taking shelter from Clint, we wouldn't mean to impose this upon you like this, so my apologies. It's alright. He pokes at a clump of almond shavings in his salad. I just want to know what's going on. She looks to TJ, and then after a quiet, affirming nod from the lynx, she responds to the salamander. Okay, when we were younger, one of our neighbours, our friend, drowned in Lake Emma. She pauses. Actually, they died in the hospital later on, but the point is we were all there for it. It was a rather traumatising experience, even for the older members of our sort of friend group at the time. She speaks in such a plain, even tone, she might as well be reading the directions off the back of a TV dinner. Everyone, including Daxton, looks incredibly uncomfortable. The salamander just nods in faux understanding. Oh. He digs into his salad with such focus, it's like he's trying to read a book in there. So let's just jump right into it. She takes a big drink from her smoothie, leaving us in anticipation. I groan quietly. Flynn. Fucking what? Do you believe that Chase killed Sydney? What? Daxton looks up, letting out a little wisp of laughter, assuming that we're joking. As he sees he's the only one laughing, he starts to look visibly tense. I didn't fucking expect her to just straight up and ask me this either. Well, way I see it, either Chase is lying or TJ is. Or fuck it, maybe they both are, and are covering for each other. But Chase in there was spouting bullshit like a steer's rear. I point to TJ, who quickly looks away. Threw me under the bus the moment he started squealing. Chase wouldn't lie to me about something big like this, yeah? But neither would you, Tej. The wolf rubs his paw through the fur on his face. TJ shifts, looking like he's about to start crying again. I'm not lying. It's still word versus word with you two. And Chase fucked off once TJ told us what happened from his point of view. Which took you long enough, by the way. A hard eye, the lynx, but his own eyes are cast so far away from me they might as well be in the back of his head. TJ. Jenna rubs her paws on napkin, wringing it some before speaking again. Tell us about the monster you saw. Oh, come on. Jenna ignores me. Give us as many details as you can, and take as much time as you need. TJ clutches his bowl of salad in his lap with both paws. It looks like he hasn't had a bite. His eyes take on a more reflective quality than they always do when the tears are starting to well. It's unnerving in sort of a primal level to see TJ tearing up like this. He's an adult, grown-ass man, looking like he did when he was a kid. It reminds me of how little any of us have truly grown up. Like I said before, tall, with burnt skin, reddish, I guess. How tall? Like almost 7 feet? Jenna frowns. How did it move? Really fast? Or not at all? It was like pictures, you know? A slideshow that was being fast-forwarded? Carl finally looks up from his hooves, the ram appearing increasingly nervous. When it walked through the water didn't move like a wake. It just splashed out with each step. Tell me about the face again, please. Okay. TJ's having such a hard time getting the words out, but Jenna doesn't stop. She looks rapt. 3 holes. 2 for the eyes, 1 for the mouth. They weren't like bloody or anything, just empty, dark. Everyone's silent for a moment. Then, next to me, Daxton rises up to his feet. The salamander walks around to where TJ's sitting, and then points to something behind him. Like this. What? Like that, like a plug. He's pointing at the electrical socket. TJ turns, looks at it, and he twitches as if startled. He quickly wipes his eyes and nods. Daxton stares slack-jawed. Leo takes a loud slurp from his smoothie. There's a dribble of the pink liquid stuck to his fur, around the edges of his jowls. Guys, am I missing something here? I saw it. Saw what, Cole? That thing. Cole gestures toward the electrical outlet. I give him an incredulous look as we meet each other's glances for a second. Yeah. I saw a pretty nifty light switch back when I was 13. I look to TJ. It didn't make me hide the truth about my friend's murder for about a decade. Shut up, dude. I blink at Cole. He stands up, still staring at the socket. When I crashed my car that night, you remember? Yeah, I do. Cole didn't want to talk about it for months after it happened. I only found out about the truth then. It was after he dropped out of college. Apparently it was way fucking past twilight and he was drugged out of his mind. That scabies-ridden fat-ass Jeremy gave him acid in his trailer and he had a bad trip. Cole described some cartoon he put on, a tiger and a bird, with the tiger baking the bird alive. He mentioned how vivid everything was and how the fucking Jeremy wouldn't stop laughing. He busted out of there and drove off, all at high tail like. While making his way down Route 65, he swerved and hit a pole. The impact would have killed him if he weren't so thick-skulled. And, of course, he told his dear old parents about it, and they took the blame for everything. They didn't want him to be tested when the cops showed. It wasn't until a couple of months ago he told me, in his drug-addled mind, he thought he'd driven to Pueblo and picked up Chase. Cole claimed he was talking to him the whole ride back, telling him how college life was going and shit. Stroking his horns, mentioning how he missed him, and wanted him back as a roommate. You know, all the shit Chase never actually said after Cole dropped out. The fucker barely even responded to his messages. He could have sworn, when he swerved off the road and struck the pole, he killed Chase, crushed somehow at impact. He wouldn't stop shaking. I made a joke that I would have to help him bury the body. I threw up later thinking about it. Yeah, the Ram is looking at me now with those really big sad eyes. I would never see him like this, sober and fully fucking aware of really bad shit. Usually the moment shit starts getting remotely bad, he tokes till his mind melts the horrors away, as he calls them. There's none of that shit here, that's for certain. I never liked how it makes me feel, and Daxton's too nerdy to know any pot dealers. This is gonna sound real nuts, but that thing TJ's describing with the electrical socket face, it was chasing me that night, man. I saw it exactly how TJ described, and that's how it moved. I thought I'd outrun it, but then it was in the car with me where I thought Chase was, and I hit the fucking pole, man. Where Chase was? Leo looks at Cole with raised eyebrows. I let out a puff of exasperated air. You were tripping balls on acid. I look to the rest of the group. That's why he thought that he was with Chase. Leo's expression furrows. You've done acid, Cole. Yeah, I know how it sounds. I thought it seemed familiar earlier when TJ was describing it at City Hall, but that face, it was just like an outlet. Daxton's nodding along with everything that Cole says. Flynn, I literally was just telling you about this shit. I saw it in my dream. In the water? It's the second time I've seen it in 2 days. I recognised it too. Not in the dream, or because of drugs though. She looks over at TJ, who appears even more frightened from the confessions from those around him. When I was younger, well, much younger, I sometimes saw it during times when I was really angry or sad. It's the closest thing I've ever had to what my grandmother described as a spiritual experience. When I told her about it, she told me it sounded like a Wendigo. A what? Leo crosses his arms firmly over his chest, the wolf having been the last one who was still actually eating dinner. Guys, I understand the stress of all this, yeah? But seriously, this is too much. Jenna, you're pragmatic and all that, and to see you going off like this has me awfully concerned. This isn't one of our old VHS horror movie nights. He looks to me now, his voice stern and steady. Sydney is not some zombie thing rising from the lake to get revenge on the spring breakers. He was just a kid and he died, and we need to move on. Forgive. I don't give a damn, really. He brings his heavy paw up to his face, rubbing at the space between his eyes. His nose is starting to bleed, probably cracking from how dehumidified I keep it in here. I want to believe what he's saying. I'm ready to call all these fuckers out on their bullshit, but at the same time, the coincidence of all this is just too much. TJ's tough to read now, but I don't doubt the sincerity of Cole, Jenna, or even Daxton in that they believe what they're saying. I just want the truth. That's all I want. I sigh. I think we should talk to my aunt. Why your aunt? She's good with this sort of shit. I pause. Well, I don't know what this is that's happening, but, you know, fuck. I don't know what else to do. Leo just frowns at me. I'm guessing you're wanting to go now? You can go home if you want. I know it's tempting now that Chase isn't here for you to stalk. You're right, partially. I really want to talk to Chase alone about this, about the lying and stuff. He shrugs. Who knows, maybe he's seen the Wendigo too. Do you have a spare gun that I could borrow? Jesus, is this really what it's come to? I look at Leo for a moment. He's been sort of a gun nut as of late, which is real strange, noting how against them he was in high school. Are you licensed? Yeah, open carry. I know what I'm doing. That's not saying much, noting our state has the most lax weapon licensing standards in the nation. That's typical Jenna for ya. Reality is going out the window, but she'll still be there thrusting some socio-political bullet points in the middle of it. All my shit's licensed for me and me alone. Leo clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth. This isn't the time for your by-the-book stuff. I'm grabbing one of your flashlights. I'll be in the van. He opens the front door and leaves. I guess we're going. Seems so. Carl and Daxton look at each other. I'm not feeling very good. If you're gonna puke, do it on Dax's side of the sink. The salamander, who is already looking unnerved, somehow manages to frown even more. Jenna strokes the Lynch's arm, muttering something that I can't quite catch. For a split second, I saw a glimmer of a sad smile appearing on his face. It diminishes quickly, but I guess I'm glad TJ's not completely broken. The group begins to head out, leaving their plates and cups on the counter. I linger a bit, catching Jenna as she's wiping her paws off on the dish towel. Hey. Yeah? You wanted to tell me something? She gives me a look, like she doesn't know what I'm talking about. What? She pauses, and then nods, as if remembering something. I'm happy for you and Cole. Her tone is idle, her mind seemingly focused elsewhere. If he's going to explore his sexuality, it's good that it's with someone he knows and trusts, who's, experienced. What? I cross my arms tightly over my chest, squinting down at her. How the fuck would she know that I'm experienced? We ain't a thing. Yeah, you weren't much for having things in general. She looks out of the window, her expression kind of like a mix of distant and troubled. Everyone's filing into the van except Daxton, who's holding up his phone to the sky, trying to get service, I guess. As I open my mouth to rebut, she holds up a paw. It's not what I wanted to talk to you about, and I suppose current matters are, she sighs, more pressing than would be appropriate to delay for this conversation. Her demeanour seems to shift, her posture not as full of that holier-than-thou air that she usually seems hell-bent on putting on. I can see Leo behind the wheel now, surely getting antsy. Yeah, Leo looks like he's about to pop a hemorrhoid already. I just wanted you to know I understand your concerns more clearly. I grunt. Yeah, well, hopefully my aunt can help me understand yours. I thumb back toward the electrical socket. Jenna looks at it, purses her lips, and scowls. I can't tell if she's just frowning at herself at this point. When all logic's gone out the fucking window, her shtick of being the rational mind here is certainly a challenge. With a small nod, she turns, heading out with the rest. I sigh, putting back the lever on my repeater and watching the clip extend outward. I remembered to load it after all. Here's hoping I don't need it. I push it back in and head outside. Okay, and I think that's the end of this episode. There's been a lot of doubt cast upon Chase's situation in this. He's not there to defend himself either. But maybe we'll find out more in the next episode. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.